Hi, so we've just finished our webinar on Home Alone, how to teach your dog to be comfortable when left home alone. And we had a lot of queries from people, a lot of interest. And here are 5 tips that I want to share with you from the webinar. Okay, so if you have a dog that's anxious when left alone, if your dog is not okay being left alone, here are 5 things that can help you in the program. So we're not going to go over the program now in detail, but here are 5 things that you can use to teach your dog to be left alone. The first is don't allow your dog to follow you from room to room. You know, dogs that are constantly following you, your shadow, we call them Velcro dogs. That's not good for your dog. You don't want your dog doing that. So it's perfectly okay to tell your dog, hey, listen, I'm in this room, I'm taking an afternoon nap. You sit outside for about 10 to 15 minutes. And it's okay to tell your dog to do that. The second thing I don't want you to do is be clingy to your dog. Half the time I see the people being clingy. My baby, come here. My baby, what are you doing? Stop being clingy to your dog. It's not good for him and it's not good for you. Third thing, every dog needs some alone time every day. Okay, and that's important. If you don't leave your dog alone every day for a few hours, where he'll just be by himself, and you'll be surprised that how many dogs are going to be, oh, thank God I'm alone. Finally, she's gone. All dogs need that just like we do. So from the beginning, teach your dog being alone is fun. And this is what I noticed everybody had a problem with in this session. Everybody teaches their dog being by yourself is so awful and you poor thing and what a horrible thing for you. When I'm at home, it's so good. It should be the other way around. You want to teach your dog when you're home and you're alone, it's so much more fun. All these yummy things come out then. That chew stick you love only comes when I go out. See how we've convinced our dogs that being alone is miserable and being with us is so much better. Why can't we just do it the opposite way? You want to teach your dog the opposite. Okay, so stop thinking that you are the best thing for your dog. Your dog can be alone by himself and say, well, that was a lot of fun. All right, so here's the important thing. Stop thinking of it as a bad thing when your dog is alone. That's what everybody, oh, you poor thing, you're alone. No, being alone is not a bad thing. It's a good thing. And you need to teach your dog, whether your dog has anxiety when left alone or not, start teaching your dog for his own good, for his own sake, that being by yourself is actually a ton of fun. Think of it like having a teenage child at home. Right? What do they want you to do? Go, you go out. Because when you go out, we actually get to do a lot of things that are a ton of fun. That's the mindset you want your dog to have. Oh, I can't wait for her to go to work. I get my favorite stuffing in the Kong when only she goes to work. That's the attitude we need to put in our dogs. See, most of us have taught our dogs, oh, poor thing, poor thing. So don't do that. Another thing that people make mistake is not to understand that anxiety and stress go together. A lot of people tell me, oh, my dog is anxious when left alone, but otherwise he's not got any stress. Here's the thing, if he's anxious for anything, he's got stress. You need to bring down cortisol levels. Why? Because they feed the anxious behavior. A dog with lesser stress is going to be less anxious when you go out than a dog that has more stress in him for other reasons. So give that a bit of a thought. Another little secret of mine is to build confidence in these dogs. Why? Because you'll notice dogs with any anxiety issues are very low on confidence. And in the webinar, we actually went through it in a bit of more detail. And if you'd like to have the webinar, guys, just DM me and I'll send you the details on how you can purchase it. But here's the thing, something called as posturing. Do you know what posturing is? So if you do, write it in the comment box. Okay. So can you all hear me? I think you can, right? Yeah. Okay. So if you don't know what posturing is, this is what it is. What we have understood is we know the mind controls the body, right? So if the mind is anxious, the body starts to withdraw and become all crouched and slow and arm inverted in kind of a thing. And that we see in dogs with anxiety, separation anxiety, fears, noise sensitivity issues. We see all of that in them. Here's one little secret that I do with these dogs. Okay, of course, we play games with them to build confidence. Some lovely games like you can play tug nicely. You play scenting games. Scenting is great for these dogs. You also need to play focus games with them. So that is very good. But one thing that I do with these dogs, and you don't need to do it for more than a minute or two in a day. Here's what I do. I teach them posturing. You can actually make the dog do it. So this is how we do it in a human being, right? So if I'm anxious right now for whatever reason, and I'm like, oh my God, you'll see the body language is, gone in like this. Now we can actually have somebody tell me, stop, put your shoulders up. So we put the shoulders up and right. Put your chin up. Occupy a bit of more space. And you'll notice as soon as the body changes its posture, you'll see that the mind starts to change the way it's thinking. And so every day with these dogs, one of the little things I do is posturing. You can do it with a stool in the house, a low table, or whatever you have. It can start with put 2 paws up on that and 2 paws down. Confident, upright postures. You can even get the dog when he's playing and you say, oh, he stands like that, then, right, can you hold him in that posture for about 30 seconds? Postures, get him to be more confident. As much as possible, get him to be a little chest out, a little chin up, a little body language all better. And what you'll notice is, say if you did it 2 minutes a day, 3 minutes a day, in about 2 weeks, you'll start seeing that the mental attitude of the dog has changed. So that's a little tip you can take away with you. Another thing we need to do whenever there's any anxiety involved is what we call as self-soothing behaviors. Does anybody here know what self-soothing behaviors are? Quick question, how do you soothe yourself when you're stressed out? What do? Put it in the comment box. I'd love to hear that. Okay, so here's how dogs can self-soothe. So Shivani says yes. So guys, what do you do to self-soothe? Tell me that. If you're stressed, you're anxious. So let me give you some examples. Somebody says eat, very good. Somebody said biting my nails. That's a good thing. How many people maybe twirl their hair? You play with your hair. You can play with your hands. One of the things I notice I do to self-soothe when I'm stressed out is I kind of rub my skin. So I'm just constantly, and I never noticed it for a long time. I just do that. If I'm talking about something that disturbs me, I feel like I'm touching myself and I'm self-soothing. In the world of dogs, they need to learn how to self-soothe sometimes because we don't allow them that. The way we keep our dogs is this: you just do what I tell you. Everything in your life I will control. You're never allowed to think for yourself. You're never allowed to do something for yourself. And that is the stupidest thing because they're way more intelligent than us. And if you sometimes allow their brain to process a problem and sort it out, it would be just fine. Rather than us trying to do everything. So here's a couple of ways your dog can self-soothe. They love shredding. They love licking is a self-soothing behavior. You have to be careful about that though. But shredding, sniffing, so scenting games are great soothing behaviors for dogs to play. All these can help your dog. So when we talked today about anxiety when left alone, we also spoke about a lot of all these issues. Because you know what? And this is what I taught people in the webinar. If you just do the program and the steps in the program and how to follow the program, you will of course hit success. But if you want to hit faster, bigger, more long-lasting success, you need to follow the holistic plan. Always keep that in mind. Today, all the methods of behavior and training we used to use, I would say even 10 years ago, have completely changed. You cannot now work in isolation on a problem. Okay? You have to work with a group of other things, methods that support you. Today, just working on the physical aspect, like say a trainer would, doesn't just work. You have to understand that there's a physiology involved, there's a psychology involved, there are hormones involved, and there is physical involved and mental involved. All of that has to be, it's like holes plugged if you want results. And the last tip that I'm going to give you all for today for this is, regardless of anxiety when left alone or not, please give your dog's mind something to do. Okay, if a lot of people say, my dog has the perfect life, he sleeps all day, eats, he goes for a walk, oh, what a joyful, happy existence he has. And I say, that couldn't be further than the most cruelest thing I've ever heard. Why? Because all our dogs have clever minds and they want to engage them. So give your dog, I'm not saying through the day, give him work to do, because you also have to have a life, but maybe twice, thrice a day. Give him something that keeps his brain occupied. You know why? Dogs who don't have their brains occupied tend to be fearful dogs, hypersensitive to things, reactive dogs. You know, 50% of the problem I've noticed comes down when you tell the brain, hey, you're busy doing something, your thought processes are going on, and then the brain should say, 1 minute anxiety, hang on, I'm busy. You actually can reach that point. And here's the thing, if you want more of these tips, you want more advice on behavior issues or training issues, comment in the box below what you want to see. What is the next session you want it on? What do you want me to cover for you? What are the problems you're struggling with? Because here's the thing, knowing how to handle it holistically changes the results. So with that, we're going to end our live session. Thank you all. It was a nice little brief live session. I hope you enjoyed it. And do comment below with what more you'd like to see from us. Good night, everybody.